Hi kids! Thanks so much for joining me for another Kids Create video. This is Gabby, and in honor of the Lambeth Country Show, we're going to be doing a little fun activity called paper weaving. And before we start, I'd just like to thank Lambeth Council, Lambeth Country Show, and Lambeth Libraries as well for this opportunity, and let's get started. So here we have an example of paper weaving, and I'll show you how you can make one of these. So what you'll need is 2 pieces of paper, as well as some scissors, and a ruler can be helpful, or you could use a book. I'll explain what you need that for in a minute. And then if you want to decorate your paper, you can use a pen or some markers, some coloring pencils, whatever you have on hand. And I'll show you how to make some kind of cool designs if you're using a pen or a pencil. And you can also add color to it if you like. So let's get started. The first thing you'll do is take your first paper and fold it neatly in half. So just make sure you have a nice line here. There we go. And what you'll do is you'll basically cut lines all along here. And that's where you'll be weaving your strips of paper that we'll create with this other piece of paper. But first you need to cut along lines here, and you'll stop kind of around here. You won't cut all the way. So I'll just show you what I mean. So you can use your ruler if you find that helpful to draw some lines. They don't have to be perfect, you can just draw them. See, so I can just kind of do it without a ruler as well. Kind of, the ruler just kind of helps make it a bit neater. So, yeah, and like I said, you can use a book or just something kind of straight that you can use to draw the lines. So you can just draw those. I'll just do a few more. And we're ready. So now, what you want to do is take your pair of scissors, and you can ask an adult to help you with this part, and you cut along the lines, and you just stop where the line ends. So you don't go all the way, you just kind of go almost up until the end, and then you stop. I'll do that with all of the lines here. Okay. There we go. And now when you open your piece of paper, you've got these beautiful lines here that you can fit your slits of paper into. So we're going to put that aside for a second, and your scissors and ruler. And then you're going to take your second piece of paper, which you're going to use to create these kind of strips, you see, that kind of slide in and out. So you'll fold this piece of paper in half as well. And you'll do almost exactly the same thing, but this time you're going to cut all the way. So from this end to that end, and that's going to create some strips that you can use. So I'll just do that. Okay, I'm about halfway. And there we go, I've got my strips. So now what I want to do is cut all of these like this, all the way, until I've got a bunch of strips. Okay, so I've just got a few more. Like I said, you can ask an adult to help you with this part. There we go. So now I can gather all of my strips. And this is where getting a design together can be fun. So you could leave your strips blank. You could color them in using some coloring pencils if you have them. If you don't, or if you'd prefer, you can just create some cool designs using a pen, which I'll show you in a minute. So I've got some kind of practice patterns that I created. So you might want to practice on a separate sheet of paper, and then I'll show you the first one. So this one, I just basically create some triangles first, like this. Just so it's from one end to another all along the strip. So that's step one. And then I add smaller triangles, and they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then here, I'll just create one line. Here I'll create some smaller triangles. So every time you create a line here, and a line here, line here, line here, smaller and smaller. And when you get to these ends where there's kind of, it's like half a triangle, you can just draw some straight lines or some kind of lines that go in one direction. You just keep doing that until it's all filled up. And after a while, you'll be done and you've got one pattern. So I'll show you the next one now. This one, it's kind of like little water droplets jumping around. So what I do is I start with one droplet kind of heading towards the right, and underneath it another one going towards the left. And then I keep going all along, up and down, just like this, until I get to the bottom. Okay, and then I add these kind of small droplets. What I do is I add a drop at the bottom and at the top for each one. Okay, so now you can see what it looks like when this one's done. And we'll show one last one. And you can invent as many of these as you want, by the way. And you can also draw some on your first sheet of paper. It's all up to you, so you can make it look however you want. So this third one, it's kind of these little diamond shapes with circles on the edges. So what I do is I kind of draw a zigzag in the middle, like this. One zigzag line, like this, all the way to the bottom. And then I draw another zigzag line going the other way. So, and it kind of crosses over to create these diamonds. So I'm doing this quite quickly, but you can take your time. And then I add little diamonds inside each diamond, just for fun. So you can do that too if you want to. All right, so I've got all my little diamonds. Now I'm going to add some circles on each side between the diamonds. So I do one on the right, one on the left, one on the right, one on the left, all the way until the bottom. And there you have the third design. So you've got three kind of ideas for designs that you can use. If you want to, you can also do something simpler. If you just want something quick, you can kind of draw some circles, almost like bubbles, everywhere on your strip. Little circles and bubbles. You can really just do whatever you want until they're all covered. You can just do one zigzag going down all the way, like this. You can really get creative. Draw some smiley faces if you want to. And you basically keep going until you're happy with how all of your strips look. Another one I like to do is just drawing little swirls everywhere. find that one really fun and relaxing. So you just draw little, almost like little snail shells. And you can kind of hold each bit of your strip to make it easier to draw. Okay, so now you've got all your strips, and you're probably wondering, how do I fit them into my other piece of paper? So let's focus on that. So I'll show you what you need to do. So you start with one strip, and what you want to do basically is go through a pattern of going over, under, over, under, over, under. And that's how you get this effect. So here, if I take my strip here, you can see you're kind of all fitting in either over or under. So here it's over, then it goes under, over, under, over, under. And if you turn it around, you can kind of see the flip side of that. So you take your piece of paper, and it's a bit like sewing, if you've ever seen anyone sew or know a bit about sewing. So you go over, under, over, under, over, under, takes a bit of focus, over, under, over, under, over, whoops, over, there we go, and under. Okay, so then you can kind of push it back. Now you've got your first piece of paper in there, and then very important, the next one that goes in, it'll be the other way around. So you'll start with going under, you see? So instead of pushing it in like this, you go under and you push it over the second strip of this paper. And then you do the same thing. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and over. There we go. And then the next one, it'll be the same as the first one. So you're kind of going through this pattern of switching. There we go. So as you're doing this, you basically fit in all of the strips that you have room for. So you may not actually have a chance to use all your strips, and that's okay. Just when it gets full, you can stop. And you can also make room by just pushing your strips down to make sure that they're kind of nice and tight. And that'll make a bit of extra room. So now I'm just adding my last strip before I'm done. There we go. So just a fun activity where you can get creative, create cool patterns, and kind of create your own design that way. And I hope you really enjoy doing this, and I'd love to see some pictures of what you make, of your patterns, and of your paper weaving. So just so you know, I used squares for mine, but you can also use any kind of shape that you want. It can be a rectangle, as long as it's kind of got four sides, then you're good. And my strips kind of stop evenly here because they're square, but yours might go over the edges, and that's fine. It's just a different style. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks again to Kids Create, Lambeth Country Show, Lambeth Libraries, Lambeth Council for providing kind of all these fun activities, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Bye!